best in my living out loud approach to life. That whenever I'm confused about something or in any kind of conflict, it's best just to bring it out and open up and talk about it. So my quandary came in preparing my talk today because it's Memorial Day. And what I know is socially appropriate is that I should talk about patriotism and the value of people who put themselves in harm's way for the freedom and safety of those around them. And yet there's a part of me that doesn't really want to go there because of my intense aversion to this idea of conflict, period. And so I thought if I didn't talk about Memorial Day, people would think that I'm not patriotic, which I am. I am fiercely patriotic. I was talking to my mother yesterday about submitting the packet that my aunt gave me where I could join the Daughters of the American Revolution. I have people on both sides of my family that signed the Declaration of Independence. And what a great idea democracy is. It seems to be catching hold around the globe. Have you noticed that? It seems to really be moving. And yet, how would we have established that? I know King George wasn't just going to say, okay, all you little colonies, you just go ahead and do your own thing. There had to be a point of standing for what we believed in, no matter what. And so I thought, well, you know, Barbara, if you don't talk about Memorial Day, people will think that you don't have any feelings about people who have lost members of their family to this idea of war. And that is also not true. That I know for those who have not experienced their fathers and their uncles and their brothers and their grandfathers because of their transition made in the line of fire, they have sadness about that and loss. And yet what we say every day is we were never born and cannot die, so we are eternal spiritual beings. And I personally believe that we choose when we come into this world and we choose when we go out. And I honor the warriors, that archetypal consciousness of warrior, no matter what it is. And so I just wanted to kind of address this idea of Memorial Day because I do so admire those people who put on a uniform and stand for what they believe in, whether they are in our armed services, whether they are firefighters that run into the burning building, whether they are police officers that stand in the midst of danger. Whoever those people are, there is an energy of I am willing to stand for what I believe. And I will do it for the good of others. And for that, I do give thanks this day. But I also have to acknowledge that idea inside me that we have to take this to a higher level. We've got to stop blowing each other up. That war in and of itself is a manifestation of poverty. That most of the wars that have ever been fought have been fought because there was a lack. There was a lack of food. There was a lack of water. Most of the wars that have ever been fought on this planet were about a lack of water, a lack of resources, a lack of opportunity. And so what I want to just throw in the mix on this Memorial Day weekend as we say thank you for all of our freedom, for all of this opportunity, and for this wonderful idea of democracy that is spreading throughout this globe, is we can do it a little better. And it starts by establishing in consciousness and then in outward form an abundance consciousness, so that every man, woman, and child on the planet is safe to live the life that they were always meant to live, to be who they have come here to be, to have basic needs met so that we can go on and live in peace and harmony. And I just wanted to address that because I believe in saying what's on my mind so that I can go ahead and give the talk that I really want to talk about today, which is, it's all in what you make of it. With the quintessential picture of lemons turning into lemonade. And I know that there are some people in the world who say, I don't want any lemons. And yet that's ridiculous. Can you imagine a life without lemons? There would be no tart. I know when I watch the cooking shows, they're all about the acid. Well, I need some lemons, I need some limes, I need some vinegar, I need some acid to make this creation be all that it can be. And we need a little acid. We can turn it into lemonade if we want to, but it doesn't have to limit us. We can squeeze a slice of fresh lemon in a glass of water and transform it into a wonderful drink. We can take lemon juice and we can turn it into a marinade for whatever it is we're cooking, because that acid breaks down the tissues of whatever it is and it makes it tender instead of tough. There's a dish in Latin culture called ceviche, where you have raw fish and onions and peppers and all these great things, and you fill it full of lemon or lime juice, and the acid in the juice cooks your food. It cooks it with no heat. It cooks it with the acid. And so as we're looking at our life and listening to what we say, if we say, I don't want any lemons, oh God, no more lemons, which translates to, I don't want any more rejections, I don't want any more problems, I don't want any more difficulties, I don't want to expand, I don't want to grow, I just want to dig a hole, climb in it, pull the sand over myself, and live my life that way. That's ridiculous. Of course we want that. We want the ups and the downs. We want the triumphs and the breakthroughs of life. We want to have the ability to change our lives into whatever it is we want them to be. We want to have that ability to recreate our experiences into the glorious experience of life. We didn't show up in life to be passive. We showed up in life to be dynamic. We showed up in life to live. And yet sometimes we look around and go, oh, I don't know, living is hard. Living just didn't work out the way I thought it was going to work out. You know, first they weaned me. And then there was potty training, and then there was school, and then there were other kids. Oh my gosh, it just didn't work out the way that I wanted it to work out. No, it worked out exactly the way you wanted it to work out. You are a powerful, creative, spiritual being alive and well on planet Earth. You are creating your experience, and so when something comes up, rather than saying, oh no, that's a lemon, we can look at that and say, that is an intricate part of my life. This is the piece that I'm looking for. I didn't know it was going to look like a lemon. I didn't know it was going to be quite that sour, but this is the piece that I'm looking for, so I can take it and turn it around so that I can do something with it. But you know, living the life of your dreams isn't going to just drop down in your lap. It's not going to come without any effort. You've got to match that. Somebody took my phrase. I don't know if it's Pepsi or one of the big companies. All of a sudden their motto now is be more. Be more. I went, that was mine. And I said, oh, Barbara, if you wanted to keep it yours, you wouldn't have put it on the back of your car for 20 years. We want to grow into the life that we have, the life that we want to have. And when we have experiences that are the sand that the polishing stones use, when we have experiences that are the roughness in life, that's us saying, this is where our focus needs to be. This is where we get to grow. It's not for the faint of heart that says, I just want everything to be on an even keel. You know, if you go into a hospital room and the little machine is on an even keel, the person is dead. You don't want to be dead, at least not right now. If you did want to be dead, you would be. Everybody is in their perfect and right place. So when we look at our lives and we say there's a problem there, you know, crazy as it sounds, this should be a time for jumping up and down for joy. I got a problem. I got a problem. Microphone's falling out of my clothes. I got a problem. What does this mean? This is my area to heal. This is my area to grow. This is my area to be all that I can be. I love the story of Thomas Edison. They came up to him and said, you know, after like 1,200 failures, he used 6,000 vegetable fibers, plant fibers, to make his filament. And after well over 1,000 failures, they said, oh, that's just another failure. All you're doing is failing. And he said, no, that's one more thing that doesn't make light. And after 2,000 tries, he made the light bulb. What in the world would have happened if he had said after 1,000 1,999 tries, well, I guess God doesn't want me to make a light bulb. I guess life is just too hard. I guess I don't have it in me. Maybe I should have listened to what those teachers said when they said I was stupid, when they threw me out of school because I was slow. Instead, he had stick-to-itiveness. He said, this is where I want to go. I know there's a light in here somewhere, and I'm going to stay with it until I find it. And because of that, we have a whole different world. Light bulbs that are continuing to evolve and change. But we had that idea where we didn't back down. Now we have light. What are we going to do with it? People come into my office and they start telling me about their problems, and I think of other problems that I've heard. And it's like, you don't have a problem. You have an inconvenience. You have something that's mildly uncomfortable. This is not warrant of a problem. What this is calling us to be in that place, the best of us. I keep looking at Cheryl Ward because she just came back from the first trip that the Cherokee Nation made, retracing the Trail of Tears, where they were taken from these mountains out to Oklahoma to be put in reservations. And there were key points upon that trail, points where blankets filled with smallpox were given, points where thousands of children died. And instead of holding on to that story and saying, woe is us, we are the Cherokee Nation, we have been screwed by the white man, you know, instead of holding on to that, they said, this is an area for us to grow. This is an area for us to be the best of us. And so what they've done is they've gone backwards on that trail in prayer, in ceremony, and stopped at those key points and done forgiveness work. Not for the people who hurt their ancestors, for them and for the 7 generations to follow them, so that they can have a different story, so that they can have a different life, so that they can turn their lemons into lemonade and enjoy it. And so people come into my office and they say, oh, you know, I've got a work person and they took my client and life is just so hard. And I'm thinking, you have no idea what hard is. You have no idea. This is simply life saying, you need to clean up your act a little bit in this area. You need to let go of some of your fear about someone taking something away from you. This is an opportunity for you to be generous and to claim the wealth that is yours. To let go of some of the judgment, some of the story that you tell yourself over and over and over. And you know, because you've heard people tell the same story over and over and over and over again. And whether it was ever true or not doesn't matter in the end, because they've convinced themselves. And in convincing themselves of the story that they've told themselves, they lose out on life. They lose out on life because what? They didn't have the wherewithal to stick with it, just one more try. Come on, all the Thomas Edisons in us, just one more try. They didn't have that. They didn't have the ability to see a little bit of a bigger picture. Oh, they did me wrong. No, nobody did you wrong. You've done yourself wrong all your life. This is simply life trying to smack you on the side of the head to get your attention. You know, if we don't listen to the whisper, if we don't listen to the nudge, if we don't listen to the gentle shake, sooner or later we're going to have a smack on the side of the head. Maybe then we'll listen. I find people who are looking at terminal illnesses incredibly flexible. Willing to do anything I say, willing to let go of any old belief system. They are motivated. We don't have to wait that long. Someone leaves you, let them go. Children in the room, Barbara, don't say it. Don't let the door hit them. If you quote unquote get fired, go find something better. Finally, you're willing to leave that job that you didn't like anyway. Isn't it crazy that we don't like what we're doing, but we do it anyway, and then when we can't do it anymore, we feel slighted? How crazy is that? That which is ours cannot be taken from us. That which is not ours, we cannot keep. There is a season for things. I love Michael Beckwith's phrase, people come into our life for a reason, for a season, for a lifetime. Know the difference. Know the difference. Is this a reason? Just a moment? For a purpose? Is this a season? Well, a season is 3 months. Is this a lifetime? If it's a season and you think it's a lifetime, something's going to have to give. It's all in what you make of it. Well, that person left me. Yay! People hate it when they come into my office. I got fired. Yay! They left me. Yay! I don't know what I'm going to do. Yay! Because when you did know what you did, when you did know what you were going to do, you did it and you didn't like it. So do something new. Get a different perspective in life. Take what you got and do something with it. I was talking to my mom. I had a wonderful visit with my mom yesterday. And we were just, I was kind of tooting my own horn. And I said, isn't it interesting that me, of everybody in this family, in this biological family, me, Barbara, is the one who now holds the highest educational degree. And I'm in a doctoral program. Isn't that fascinating? That the 15-year-old pot smoking, dope dealing, dropping out of high school, run away from home kid, out of all of the proper people, now holds the highest educational degree. Isn't that great? Because I did something with what I had. People say, oh, you didn't have much. You're right, I didn't have much. But I learned. I learned how to be scrappy. I learned how to get what I wanted. I learned how to ask. I learned how to do more with less. I learned. And then I lived my life and got what I wanted because I knew it was all about me. It wasn't anybody giving it to me. It was what I was going to do with it, what I was going to make of it. One more thing I got to tell you just because I love it and it has nothing to do with my talk. But in talking with my mother, you've heard me say that my father's mother, my grandmother, was a Christian Scientist. She sang for Mary Baker Eddy in the First Church of Christ Science in Boston. Well, who would have known that her father, my grandmother's father, my great-grandfather, was a spiritualist. I got it in the blood. One of the things he did, Aurora, is what you do. He sat down at a piano, had never touched a piano, and these beings played through him. Wow. Wow. There is so much more going on than we think. It's amazing. We have beings around us. We have beings moving through us. We have beings. Oprah has a team. The beings go out before her and set everything up, get all the contracts ready. All she has to do is show up and sign on the dotted line. That team of hers is not in physical form. There's so much more going on than we have an awareness of. So when people say, oh, I can't do this, I say, well, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. You would not have created it if you can't do it. Of course you can do it. Not only can you do it, but you must do it if you want to go forward in life. Well, I'm afraid. Well, so what? Who's not afraid? Everybody's been afraid. The only difference between the coward and the brave person is that the brave person does it even though they're afraid. Fear's good for you. Get your blood moving. If you take fear and you breathe a lot, it'll turn into excitement. Yay! My life is falling apart. Great! Because that means that I get to put it back together again. Stop looking at your past. Stop telling your story about what didn't work. Stop focusing on that which keeps you small. Bust out. I heard an analogy on the television about getting in your car, and when you get in your car, you look out through your windshield. Did you ever notice how your windshield is on your car? It's big. The better the cars get, the more side vision you get. And then right in the middle of the windshield is a little tiny rear view mirror. You're not supposed to look at what has gone behind you. You're supposed to look at where you're going. And so if you have something in your life that's been miles back, let it go. Stop talking about it. Stop identifying yourself with it. the 2-year-old that took the poison that needs surgery every 2 years. That's not you. That's not you. The person who did you wrong, that's not you. The person who lost things in life, the person who had squashed opportunities, I guarantee you, you created every step of the way. You created every step of the way for a purpose, and if you don't know what that purpose is, it matters not. If that was the right place for you to go, you would have gone there. Sometimes people come to see me and they're trying to open the same door. The door is locked. Turn away from the door. The door is locked. If you were supposed to go through that door, you would have created it to be open. It is locked. Get off it, get over it, and move on. Look around. Where is the open door? It's all about what we do with the circumstances in our life, not what happens to us. It's all about what we make of ourselves, not what we start off with. We are all powerful, creative, spiritual beings. It doesn't matter what you've got in your bank account. It doesn't matter what people are saying about you. For that matter, if people are talking about you, that's a good thing. It's a good thing. It means you're not dead. It's a good thing. It's about our perspective. It's about how we see life. It's about how expansive we can get. It reminds me of a story. I love these stories about teachers and students. There was an aging Hindu master who grew tired of his apprentice complaining. I love this story. And so one morning he sent the unhappy young man for some salt. When the apprentice returned, the master instructed him to put a handful of salt in a glass of water and drink it. "How does it taste?" asked the master. "Bitter," spit the apprentice. The master chuckled and then asked the young man to take the same handful of salt again and put it into the lake. So the two walked in silence to the nearby lake, and once the apprentice swirled his hand of salt into the water, the old man said, "Now drink from the lake." As the water dripped down the man's chin, the master asked, "How does it taste?" "Fresh," remarked the apprentice. "Do you taste the salt?" asked the master. "No," said the young man. At this, the master sat beside his serious young apprentice, who reminded him of himself, and took his hands, offering, "The pain of life is pure salt, no more, no less. The amount of pain in life remains the same, exactly the same. But the amount of bitterness we taste depends on the container we put the pain into. So when you're in pain, the only thing you can do is to enlarge your sense of things. Stop being a glass, be a lake." Stop being little. Stop being petty. Stop being narrow-minded. Stop looking at the immediacy of things and expand. Be big. Be generous. Be open-minded. Be expansive. And watch how the way your life tastes and what happens to you changes. And so it is.